Hello, and welcome to today's Thwack Livecast, where we'll be embarking on a three-part journey to help you discover observability, your next great journey into IT. My name, for you who don't know, is Ben Keene, and I'm the Thwack Community Manager. And today I'm joined by Brian Radovich, who is one of our project managers here at SolarWinds. You can find me on Thwack under the Thwack ID of the Ben Keene, and Brian can be found under the Thwack ID of BM Rand. To tell you a little bit about myself, I have about a 20-year history within the IT field, joining the SolarWinds team earlier this year. My role before was focusing on environments and the best way of monitoring them. Now I use my new role to help modern professionals at all levels achieve their goals while continuing to improve the Thwack platform and the community. My socials are listed there. You can find me on, like I said, on Thwack at the Ben Keene, on Twitter at MonitoringGuySW, and on Instagram at the Monitoring Guy. So Brian, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I was at a startup doing monitoring of storage and virtualization and servers, and we got acquired by SolarWinds about 12 years ago. Always been in the monitoring space, always been a product manager. I've sort of spanned, across the offerings that we have at SolarWinds. So started off with, server storage and virtualization, but I moved over to databases and then security, and now over to hybrid cloud observability.
That's great, Brian. And you and I both have had a rather long history, as you can see, with SolarWinds. Myself for over 10 years, yourself for over 15. And I think throughout that time, you would agree with me when I say that we've both taken part in some exciting journeys along the way. Personally, like I said, my journey started over 10 years ago, but it wasn't until the most recent 5 years that I really dug my heels into the Orion platform. So with that being said, before we jump into the slides and really into the meat and potatoes of today's presentation, is there a quick story you would like to share about your journey you had with SolarWinds up to this point?
Yeah, the interesting thing is, I've stayed in the product management organization, and I've got to span all these different areas, and been really interesting to see how they've grown and how they've come together, and sort of this is all culminating in our observability offerings, which I'm really excited to get to work on.
Awesome. That's great, Brian. I appreciate that. And much like you, part of the reason I enjoy working in the IT space is that journey, right? Like many other jobs, we all encounter changes along the way, and that's what brings us here together today. So everybody, pick up your bag, make sure you have your compass and your map, and join us for this first part of the journey into discovering observability. We hope after this short journey today with Brian that you, the viewer, walk away with an understanding of the four following things. 1, understanding how hybrid cloud observability can help you surface important information. 2, understand the difference between each hybrid cloud observability scale. 3, see how each cloud observability can quickly aid you in a root cause analysis. And lastly, understand how easy the transition is from your current tools that you already have and know to this new hybrid cloud observability. So let's get into it, Brian. Like many journeys before, it seems there are always the same type of things used to ensure we have the information we need to ensure a safe journey, right? Whether that's a map, your GPS nowadays. I remember growing up, my parents going and getting their triptychs from AAA, all this fun stuff, right? And I think our journey into discovering observability is no different, right? So the first point that I learned while doing this research, while getting ready to speak with you, Brian, is that there are 3 themes echoing throughout all the documents you and your team put together. The first point is going from a reactive to a proactive type of move. Right. Second is a greater productivity with increased business agility, which I think is key these days, because it seems that a lot of IT teams within different companies, have to be agile. We have to be ready to move on the flip. Look at 2 years ago. One day we had thousands of people in the office. The next day we had thousands of people working remote, right? So I think agility is a key here. And lastly, the tremendous value that this hybrid cloud observability offers at a low cost of ownership. Together, these three themes join to help monitoring engineers surface that critical, timely information, right? And deliver to our customers quickly. So, Brian, as one of the product managers, how do you see hybrid cloud observability being the next go-to solution to help monitoring engineers surface those critical details?
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into that, I just want to talk a little bit about what hybrid cloud observability is and what it isn't, and then we can talk about the benefits. Hybrid cloud observability is an evolution of our Orion platform and the products built on top of that. It's not brand new code or anything like that, but it combines all of that into a single build and a single install that's controlled by licensing. So it makes it easier to install, easier to upgrade, and brings all of those pieces together in new offerings, right? So we've looked at how people are using our products, what they want to be able to do, and we've come up with new offerings based on that. So really, this is looking at a way of how we bring together what were the separate products into logical collections that solve the problems that you have today. So a couple of things. So what that does is, along the slides that you had up there, one is we're going to have a more complete picture, right? So you're going to be able, in these offerings, you're going to have more visibility across what you're doing and not have to piecemeal those things together. Over time, those things will integrate further than they are today. Selling separate modules. Sometimes those use cases get separated into separate modules, and you can only see part of the story. Now you'll be able to see more of the story. This will allow you to be more efficient and solve problems quicker because you'll have the complete story. You can also look, if you look at the way that we're putting this together, you'll be able to extend into our cloud offerings in the future. So that's one thing that we're unifying the platform, unifying a lot of the functionality together now allows us to develop features faster and deliver those to you, build those integrations, and give you even a broader picture once we have integration with our SaaS products. Now, that's one good thing to bring up is the things that hybrid cloud observability is not. It's not a SaaS offering. It's still software that you download. And again, this is an evolution of the Orion platform. So all the things that the goodness that is there, but it's even better. And although we're having this as a new offering today, if you own modules, if you own SAM or NPM, you'll be able to keep those as well. So we have a new offering if you want to move there, but you can keep owning the same great products you have today.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to understand that this is not a simple rebranding or repackaging of Orion. This hybrid cloud observability is a whole new evolution. One of the discussions we were having within the creative team is looking at doing something about this and talking about it, how it's a revolution or it's an evolution, not a revolution, right? Where you can still have your SAM, your NPM, your IPAM, NCM, SCM, those type of module products are still available. However, if you want to gain deeper insight, you might want to look at the observability offering, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the release that we have today is that's available right now in Q2 is hybrid cloud observability only. We don't have new releases for the modules yet. Those are coming in Q3. In Q3, you'll be able to upgrade your Orion server, You will now be on the new SolarWinds platform. So not only did we rebundle the functionality into new offerings, but we also now call this a SolarWinds platform. There's some great posts in Thwack in the product area where we talk about the changes to the platform. But still, all the Orion goodness that you're used to is there. We've made it better, simpler, easier to install and upgrade. But yes, if you're just an NPM customer and you're happy with NPM, come Q3, you'll run an upgrade. You'll have NPM. There will be new features as well as a new platform.
Yeah, and I think the new platform is sort of key. I know when I
Yeah.
first got into it, there was a little bit of confusion. People were calling it SolarWinds. Some people were calling it Orion. So I really think by shifting it and making it now SolarWinds, because, SolarWinds is the company, but Orion for the longest time has been our platform. But bringing those together under one unified umbrella, I think will help a lot of, especially the younger, newer monitoring engineers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a difficult decision, that we talked about a lot internally, but we felt like that there needed to be sort of a clean cut, that this was a new thing, even though it's based on the same proven technology. This is a new thing that we're offering with new capabilities. And, hybrid cloud observability is, where we're headed. So it's more of the destination than maybe exactly where we are today. But we wanted to provide those sort of clear demarcations so that you understand, I'm on the Orion stuff or I'm on the newer SolarWinds stuff. So that was the reason for the change.
Yeah, and I think it's also key to be transparent with our viewers, especially with this first release that Brian was just talking about. Within the new installer, you may see mentions of Orion, much like within the current system, you see callbacks to older releases of the Orion platform. You see a lot of things talk about networking when you're looking at servers and things like that. But I know the team is working diligently to get that kind of squared away. But it's definitely something that we've noticed and something that our early adopters have brought to us. So we really appreciate those users who were part of the early adoption program. And we hope their feedback benefits not just them, but the community as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Brian,
we are working to remove Orion everywhere. It's obviously quite pervasive through everything that we've done in the past. So removing it was not like a couple lines of code. So we're getting there.
Yeah. So we've talked about what this is, right? So let's talk a little bit about how we're going to deliver this to our customers, because quite frankly, as a former customer myself not too long ago, that's really what I'm interested in. I want to see how I can leverage this product using my current layout. For example, myself, in my last position, I had 13 pollers, including an additional web server. I did not have HA, but I did have an additional web server. I had about 80,000 or so endpoints, with about 14,000 of those being individual nodes, and then the rest being interfaces, RAM, storage, everything.
Right.
So can you bring us some insight into the scales that we're going to be offering, and how our viewers can look at this information and kind of start formulating how it would work within their structure if they're looking at moving from their current modular system to this new system?
Right, absolutely. So first things first, again, this is all built on the SolarWinds platform. So that is the base of all the new products. There are basically two offerings. I think we have a slide for this. One is, there we go. So one is Essentials and one is Advanced. So Essentials really focuses on the health and status of everything connected to your network. So you can see the features on the left-hand side. We're going to be looking at network, so all your switches, your firewalls, routers. We'll be able to see all of your hosts, lightweight visibility into virtualization and cloud. But the idea is that everything that's connected, we want to be able to see the health and status of that. Now, so that'll tell you kind of what's up, what's down, what's having performance problems, all that kind of stuff. If you want to dig a little bit deeper, if you want to know, get some insight into the why of the things that are those are happening, then you can add things like flow analysis, bandwidth analysis, deep dives on virtualization, configuration management. So again, trying to look at first of, hey, what's out there and how's it performing, what's up, what's down, and then getting more into the diagnostics of, hey, what's really going on here? Where are these flows coming from? Was there a change? Those types of things. So those are the two offerings, Essentials and Advanced. One of the exciting things, or a couple of exciting things, is one is these are all licensed by nodes. So there are no multiple counters or different things that you need to worry about. A node is a node is a node. So that's one of the exciting things. One other exciting thing about these is they also include our remote collectors. So this was a newer feature that we added to some of our offerings, so that, and really it's more about reachability than scalability. So these allow you to, if you have a distributed environment with just a, let's say, some kind of business where you have a chain, right, where you have lots of little businesses all over, you can use the remote collector, stick those in there, and collect data from the devices in there without having to deploy a full polar there. Generally, Essentials and Advanced, we sell those up by the node in sort of our traditional tiers. And in general, those offerings scale up to about 1,000 nodes. If you want to go bigger than that, if you have thousands of nodes or tens of thousands of nodes, then we offer the enterprise scale. Now, this includes, our scalability components. So the additional polling engine, additional web servers, HA, and EOC. The idea here is that you can, we're decoupling our licensing sort of from how you're deploying. So that was always something that was sort of tied together in the past. But now, if you buy enterprise scale, and it starts at 500 nodes, you can't buy a 5-node enterprise scale, but it starts at 500 nodes and then goes up from there. But this allows you to deploy in your environment. If you need polling engines, you deploy polling engines. If you need HA, you deploy HA. If you need 3 additional web servers, you do that. If you need EOC, you've got it, right? So the idea is that you can stop thinking about individual scalability components and when to get those and where to deploy those, because those had cost implications. Now we've sort of decoupled deployment from what you're paying for. You're just paying for nodes. So basically, we have 4 offerings: Essentials and Advanced, and what we call the Standard Edition, which is just the regular one, and then we have the Enterprise Scale Edition. So we have those 4 offerings. Kind of depends on what you need. And you are able to upgrade from your current modules. So if you're an NPM customer today and you look at Essentials and go, man, this has all the other things that I need or have wanted from SolarWinds for a while, you can upgrade to that. And once you do that, you could actually upgrade your Orion server today to HCO. If you want to keep your NPM license, we'll have an upgrade in Q3.
Yeah, and I think as a customer, with my customer hat on, if you will, the one thing that I really like about the new offerings is you no longer have to juggle 10, 15, whatever licenses, right? Because, I know as a monitoring engineer, my last role, I had to take time and really line up the renew date, right? Because it was hard to track. NPM is renewing in April, SAM is renewing in July, so we had to bring them all together. And it's my understanding with this new offering, one license, boom, we're done. We got some great questions coming, and we got some great questions coming in already, Brian, from our community. So first off, thank you guys and gals for posting these questions. We will have a Q&A session towards the end of this, but there's one question that came in while we're talking about, and it really feeds into our next point, or one of our future points, and that's the transition over. Somebody asked, so if they wait for the Q3 release, will they need to deploy a new server, or can they use their existing SolarWinds servers for the deployment of hybrid cloud?
Yeah, so if you're on a module license today, and when Q3 comes out, you'll be able to upgrade right on your Orion server, just like you normally do. Now, it'll probably be a download. So you probably have to download the code and run the installer there. It does basically remove the old install and put in all new fresh bits. But once you do that, we'll use the license keys that you have. You'll turn it on, and everything will work just like it did before. It does install all modules. So again, we're talking about Q3. It does install all modules, and but it only we have a toggling feature now that you only see the modules that you own. So it'll any modules you don't own won't be turned on. You won't see them, all that kind of stuff. It'll be really simple. The other interesting sort of side effect of that is that you will be able to eval products you don't own easier, right? So if you're on NPM, you upgrade in Q3. If you decide, hey, I really want to try SAM, you can actually activate and install, an evaluation right there in the product because the code's already there. It's already present. We're just turning the things on. Same thing with Hybrid Cloud Observability. If you're an NPM customer, you upgrade in Q3, you're on the SolarWinds platform. If you want to try the Essentials edition, you just click a button and you can try Essentials. When the evaluation runs out or whenever you're ready, you can just click another button and go back to the licenses you already own. So that'll be a much easier eval experience. I know that's been the feedback from users for a long time that evaluating products is difficult. You have to make choices of, do I do it on my production server or somewhere else? You don't have to do that anymore. You can turn things on when you want to try them.
And that's one nice thing about the enterprise scale too. You get that lab license, right? So again, looking back at my former job, to build up a lab, I had to get an NPM and an SAM license for 500, right? So that was an additional cost to the company. With the enterprise licenses, if you're able to go that route, that's already included. So to your point, Brian, if there is a module that you don't currently own, you're like, hey, how does that work? Or will that work to solve this? You already have the lab license. And quite frankly, the cost is whatever it is that you pay for your Windows licenses and to stand up that VM or that physical box, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The enterprise scale does include lab licenses, and that was a constant problem, for end users, like you're saying. It's we used to sell those separately. It was an additional cost, additional effort on your side to go and get that approved. So now, if you buy enterprise scale, you'll have lab licenses. Those will work just like the other licenses, so you can deploy HCO into your labs and try new things out there as well.
That's awesome. And we got some more great questions coming in, but we're going to pause on those for just a minute to continue going through the slides. We will get to as many questions as we can towards the end of the time we have with you. So please, if you're in the chat, please keep them coming. Our moderators are keeping an eye on those, and they are sending them directly to us in real time. That's why you see me looking over to my other screen. I'm watching your questions rolling in, and they're fantastic. There is one question I would like to highlight. Somebody was asking if an email would be sent out. I'm not sure, Brian, what that looks like, but I can tell you as the Thwack community manager, I highly encourage you to go to thwack.com. If you don't have an account, make an account. I can go on for hours about Thwack and the power of the platform, but we do have material already out there on Thwack that discusses what we're looking at doing, what we've done, and things like that. And future information will be shared directly on Thwack from Brian and the other product managers, so that you're not waiting on an email. Or I know my case is I get so many emails that sometimes those important emails get lost in the shuffle, and I might not see them for a day or two. So, but Brian, we could talk more about that during the Q&A. But again, if you're not currently on Thwack as a member, if you found this through our Customer Success Center or another source, please sign up for Thwack. It's free. You can earn points for swags like polos and shirts and socks. I mean, we have it. So enough plugging Thwack. Let's get back to the hybrid cloud observability, because that's why people are here, right? So Brian, the fun part, root cause analysis. As a monitoring engineer, the one rule I had was I wasn't necessarily on the hook for fixing the issue, right? The way that I sort of explained it was I am the kid in the back of the room that tells the teacher that Johnny's picking his nose, right? Sorry to be so gross this early in the morning, but it is what it is. Um, it's not my job to stop Johnny from doing that. It's the teacher's responsibility. It's my job to inform the teacher, right? But it seems like every time there was an issue, people came to me and said, what caused that? What's the root cause? Show me the NPM stats, show me the SAM stats, show me the perfmon, show me this, show me that. Let's get to the root cause. And it developed some great fixes, some permanent fixes, not band-aids and stuff. The one thing about Orion, I'm a huge Lego fan. My wife yells at me because I spend probably too much money on Lego, but it's fun. But that's kind of how Orion was, right? Like we started with NPM, block 1, SAM, SCM, NCM, and we built this thing out. And unfortunately, like Lego, like recently I was putting together the Lego typewriter. And I missed one piece and it wasn't quite working the way it was supposed to work, right? And I think within Orion, while it looks pretty, right? And you can get it kind of there, if you're missing one of the modules, it may not give you the full picture, right? So how can hybrid cloud observability really help us paint that full picture and give it to our directors, our C-suite officials, and say, here's your root cause?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Customers have definitely talked about that piecemealing these things together can take a long time. You don't have budget for everything that you want. And it's also, quite frankly, our licensing, could be difficult to deal with. We had kind of different things. Sometimes it was interfaces, sometimes it was components, sometimes it was nodes, sometimes it was transactions. All of these things made it difficult to have all the things that you needed to be able to monitor your environment. And so that's where the repackaging part of this effort came in. Again, with the 2 packages, Essentials, really focusing on health and status, everything on your network, giving you all the basics across everything, and the Advanced giving you that deep dive. I think that's the first key, is that now with either of those packages, you're going to have a more complete picture. All of these systems are interoperating with each other. And the first thing is if you have a hole in your data, you're not going to be able to understand or diagnose completely, right? So this has much more. These offerings are much more complete in the things that they're trying to focus on. So that's sort of the first piece. The second piece is with the new SolarWinds platform and the capabilities that are there, with the simpler install upgrade, we want to make the sort of the care and feeding of hybrid cloud observability and the SolarWinds platform easier, right? So we want you to spend more of your time actually working on problems in your environment, less of your time, maintaining, installing, upgrading, maintaining, our software. So that's, I think, a second piece to all of this. The third piece is, more of the things that are coming. We've done a tremendous pivot to bring this out, and again, some of this was things that we wanted to do for a long time, but a lot of it was also driven by the security incident. Building this way reduces the attack surface area, and makes it easier on us, but also makes it easier on our users, to provide this sort of single install, single platform. So now that we're almost there with the Q3 release, we'll be there. That's when the new features start to roll in. There's already a couple of new features in the Q2 release. So we got SD-WAN, so there's Meraki in that. What you'll start to see is us pivot towards more device support. We want to do more with SD-WAN. There are more devices out there to support. We want to do more with cloud monitoring. I mean, we have some great cloud monitoring in SAM, but there's more to do there. So both with our discovery mechanism and the API Polar, and then integration with our cloud products. Again, trying to get to that complete observability story. We're really good with, systems and networks, out of the box applications, all that kind of stuff. We have some great technology on the SaaS side that does deeper dives into logs into application performance monitoring, databases. All of that's available in our SaaS, and we want to look at how to bring those things together so that when you're diagnosing a problem, we don't want you to have to stop because, hey, this is a custom app and I don't have this instrument and I haven't built a template for it or anything like that. All of that can be in our cloud stuff, but you should be able to look from one to the other without having to log into different things and all that. They should be just brought together for you, and that's kind of the the end goal. Again, one of the reasons we call it hybrid cloud observability. That's our destination. That's not where we're quite at today, but that's where we're going, and that's why the name reflects sort of that desire and destination.
Yeah, and I think a couple of our members here on the chat have kind of pointed that out. That we may not be 100% there, but quite honestly, I've seen the offering. I have a small server in my basement that my wife absolutely loves that I have. Just kidding. And I found the transition from the modular aspect to this new hybrid cloud observability, personally for me, in full disclaimer, what do they say? The results may vary or whatever they say for like medical things. But from the people I've talked to that have already transitioned over, they found it easy. So let's talk about that real quick because we got a few minutes before the Q&A session starts. So let's talk about transition. Sure. What can they expect? And what are some things they should keep in mind? I know for me, the one thing was the SQL Server change. So let's talk about some of the things that these our customers and members should keep in mind if they're looking at moving to the new platform.
Right. So right now in Q2, this release is really for hybrid cloud observability customers, right? So people who participated in the early adopter program, or people who buy fresh, or people who buy today, they can upgrade to that. There are some limitations to that upgrade. So right now we only support upgrades from 2020.2.4 and later. Right now we don't support having SRM and WPM installed on the same server with hybrid cloud observability. And then we also have the SQL 2012-2014. We don't have support for that. In Q3, most of those, there are a few other minor ones too that I won't bring up here, but it's all covered in the release notes. But in Q3, most of those are removed. So we will go back, I believe, to 2019.4 for upgrades. So pretty much everyone that's out there right now, almost all of our customers are on 2020.2.4 or later. Anyways, that was sort of the first big release after the breach. But we'll go back further in Q3. We will also support installs that currently have WPM and SRM. Those are continued to be sold separately, so you can buy hybrid cloud observability, but you can also keep your SRM and WPM or buy those separately. So that will be removed. The SQL 2012-2014 will probably stay. That technology is getting pretty old in the tooth, and they're definitely it definitely puts limitations on what we can do with the platform. There are features in 2016 and later that a lot of our products now rely on, and to port those backwards is and make them performant and deliver them with our other that support the newer versions at the same time is actually quite difficult. And we know that that's might be a burden on end users, but again, we want to be able to take you into the future, and we at some point we have to cut off that old technology. So this seemed like the right point. But yeah, so when we get to Q3, the upgrade pretty much works like it does today. I do think you'll have to do a download, like if you're on 2020.2. something or 2019.4. something, you will have to download. You can run the install there. Just like you do today. It will remove sort of the Orion platform and products, put in the new the SolarWinds platform, and then when you turn it on, it will have all of the license keys that you already have. So again, if you're just an NPM and SAM customer, those will be there. All of your configuration will be there. All of your history will be there. So you're not losing really anything at all. So again, this is all based on tried and true Orion technology. So it's a really smooth transition. And again, I've talked to end users, you've talked to end users. We've tried to sort of extend that ease of use that we've come to. It took us a while to get there. Those of you who've been with us for a while, the installs have been getting better and better and better. We did not want to lose that, so this one continues that path to try and make things easier. The Q3 release can also upgrade all of your remote components. That was one of the other limitations I didn't talk about, but there were some remote components like the pollers that SAM, the node-based SAM and vman and SRM use. We couldn't remotely upgrade those. You had to do those manually, and that'll be fixed in Q3. So there is a lot of goodness, really easy to upgrade. And again, when you turn it on, whatever you had before, that's what you'll have now in terms of functionality, history, configuration. You won't be losing anything. And from there, we pivot to the future. There will be new features on the modules. So we're building new features. Right now, most of those appear in the modules as well. Obviously, anything that gets improved in the platform will make it to the modules. But there are new features coming in the future that may be hybrid cloud observability only. So there, at some point, some of those things will fall into those new offerings and not be offered on modules. But again, right now, like we released Meraki in Q2, and the intention is that will be available to NPM customers in Q3. So again, we're not for the foreseeable future. If modules are supported, they'll be on the new platform, so they'll get platform updates, security updates, and new features. So we want to keep our module customers happy and give them that opportunity to take a look at hybrid cloud observability.
Yeah, and that's all great and helpful, Brian. I really appreciate you taking your time out today. I know it's been an early morning for you and I, but I love this. This is what I love about my job, getting out and sharing this information with the community, and really being an educator and sharing my thoughts and my ideas and hearing it from the community. And that's what it's time for now. Let's hear from you. If you haven't already, if you have a question, please feel free to post it in the chat box. I believe it's on the right-hand side of your screen. Our moderators are watching that, and they are feeding me some questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over some of the questions they sent to me. We'll go ahead and ask them live. If we don't get to your question, please be patient with us. We will try to address it either through a direct email if required, or again, stay tuned on Thwack, because we are posting information or teeing up information to be coming out very, very, very soon. Because again, we're getting close to that Q3 launch date, and so people are going to have questions, right? So some of them we addressed. One, I think, one that comes up, I knew was going to come up, Brian. You knew it was going to happen. Someone said their main concern is pricing. They just renewed their agreement and received a quote to move. And they're looking at a substantial increase. I know you're not part of the sales. I know you really can't talk about pricing, but is that something that I believe that's something we're going to be covering in one of the future parts? Is that not correct of the series?
Yeah, I believe so. So I would definitely, reach out to your account manager. We want to make the transition as smooth as possible to make both, technical and financial sense. So yeah, I would reach out, but yeah, it's a different licensing model. So you have to kind of think about, we're talking about the number of nodes, and we're not talking about all the other things. And if you want scalability, you just buy that, the enterprise scale version of the products. So it is a little bit different, and I would, definitely recommend talking to your account manager, your sales representative about the details of what it would look like for you to move to the new offerings.
Yeah, and just for transparency, I am not a salesman at all. I'm an IT professional who finds himself working in a marketing role. But yeah, if you have questions about pricing, please speak to your account rep. If you have any questions about who your account rep might be, let us know, and we can try to get that information. We talked about what we're not supporting when it comes
Mhm.
to SQL servers and stuff like that. One of the questions that's rolled in is, does the Q3 release support Windows 2019? Do you know?
Yes. Yeah, it should. I'm pretty sure we're already saying we support Windows 2022. So I could be wrong, but yeah, Windows 19, the 2019 definitely.
Yeah, and somebody else asked, so if they don't switch to hybrid cloud observability,
Mhm.
well, and I think I know the answer, but again, with you here, I want to make sure that I'm sharing correct information. But if they don't make the switch, which is fine, because if your current setup is working for you, roll with it. But will they still be able to upgrade those existing modules from Q3 and beyond?
Yes. Yeah. So any of the modules based on Orion, you'll be able to upgrade, keep the licensing that you have. And you'll be on the SolarWinds platform. So again, this is an upgrade for everyone. We just couldn't get it all out in Q2, so we staged it this way. Q2 was for hybrid cloud observability customers. Q3 is for all customers. So, but yes, there's an upgrade path for you. If you're under maintenance, you will be able to download just like you normally do, run upgrades, and keep what you have.
And one interesting question I see that was given in here, they bring up the point that observability has as much to do with respect to log monitoring as it does up down status. So, do you see anything within up with a new features plan for Log Manager, or how this new offering will integrate with Loggy?
So I would say, the Essentials package includes log functionality. So all of the log functionality from Log Analyzer is now in the Essentials package. There are feature enhancements, that are planned for future releases that would improve log analysis. And again, in that this is one of the use cases that we're looking at for what we call cloud connected. Like, what do we do? Like we hear from a lot of log analyzer customers. It's like, okay, so this is not a, you know, can't retain the amount of information that we want, right? It doesn't do everything that we want, in terms of what it can collect, but I need to save this data longer. So this is one of the use cases that we're looking at with Logly, where, Logly becomes a long-term storage for Log Analyzer. So you can push things into Log Analyzer, analyze all your data. If you've got compliance reasons, you can push that up to the cloud. So that is a use case that we're investigating, and kind of the whole idea of cloud connected, that you've got this stuff on-prem. You're now on the hybrid cloud observability, and you want to be able to start mixing and matching that with our SaaS products. That's where Cloud Connected comes in. So to be able to push data up into the cloud, see the data there kind of natively with our other products, that's the whole vision of Cloud Connected and where we're headed. So great question about pulling together, the data that you have on-prem and the data that you might have in the cloud, and how those things will interact.
So one question literally just came in as you were answering that question. You were talking about SaaS, and automatically that makes me think cloud, right? The other person's computer out there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the question is that they see Azure as one of the platforms that we support with the new offering, and they're wondering, does that include Azure Gov or just the commercial Azure?
I believe, I'll probably get this wrong, but anyways, I'm pretty sure all of our stuff will work in Azure Gov. I just don't think like any of our offerings are in the Azure Gov marketplace. So I don't know that there are any limitations in terms of our monitoring. There could be, I could be wrong. But I know that getting the offerings, like our products right now, are in the marketplace in Azure, right? But if you go to Azure Gov, just like if you go to AWS Gov, they won't be there, right? Because there are different requirements and testing and all that kind of stuff. And we haven't seen a high demand for that. But it is something that is on our long-term roadmap to one, make sure all of our stuff works in those platforms, but also get us into the marketplace where you can actually download, try, and buy in the government clouds.
Yeah, and I think that really leads us into one of our last questions here, because we got about 10 minutes or so left of our time together. Somebody's asking, is there a link that they can see the new platform, screenshots, etc.? I'll take this one first, if you don't mind, Brian, because it gives me a
Sure.
chance to plug it. Thwack.com. We're going to be sharing a lot of information out there that includes screenshots. Also, if you attend one of our user groups, we have 2 more user groups coming up this year. We just had one a few weeks ago in London, which was phenomenal. It was my first as the community manager. So I'm really excited. We have a SWUG coming to Austin in September. Dates are still being shuffled. And then we have one coming to the Phoenix area in November. Again, dates are to be determined, so stay tuned for those. But at those user groups, you will probably have the opportunity to see maybe a live demo. I can't hold, I'm not going to hold Brian's team to the fire like that, because I can't. But I believe, Brian, if the opportunity is out there, we do want to showcase. We do want to show you this. I know I attended an academy class where we installed observability, and we saw, I saw the new installer. Obviously I saw it when I installed it myself. It is beautiful. I can tell you, even for large scale deployments, your downtime for upgrade hopefully won't exceed 30 minutes for everything. That's the hope, right? Like, if I was still a monitoring engineer and not doing this marketing thing, that's what I'd be aiming for, right? Because it seemed to me as a monitoring engineer, no one really paid attention to SolarWinds until I said, hey, I had to upgrade it, right? And then it's like, then the question, well, how long is it going to be down, right? So the new installer, I mean, it's super quick. It's super nice. But Brian, how about you? Do you see any sort of material coming out soon that we can share screenshots or share a demo or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Thwack is a great resource, because that's generally where, as product managers, we post things about the new releases, including screenshots of new features and that kind of stuff. It would also be in the support documents. A lot of the times, a new feature might have a vignette on that particular feature. In these first couple of releases, this is going to, still look and feel like Orion. It's all based on Orion technology. The same views are there, and again, we have to service, both module customers and where we want to go in the future. So this thing is going to look a lot like what you're used to, which is good, right? Going forward, as we integrate more with the cloud, there are opportunities for us to leverage new technologies in terms of how we represent data, and what the GUI looks like, and again, sort of drive towards a place where you could share your data with our SaaS. You can see your data up there, and again, that interface will obviously will be different than Orion, but will be Orion-like. But yeah, so initially you're not going to see a huge amount of difference. There'll be new device support. There'll be some new features with some new screens. But the overall look and feel is going to be what you're used to.
Yeah, and so one of the questions that are coming in, I know for Orion we offer our demo site that's always live and up. Do we currently have something like that for observability? If not, are we expecting to get one?
Yeah, right now it's still doing, I believe it's still 2020.2.6 on the demo site. That will be upgraded soon. Let's see, I don't have the dates in front of me, but I think GA is coming up. So that's when, we're going to declare Hybrid Cloud Observability GA. It's in the RC period right now. The day after GA, the demo site will be updated to the Hybrid Cloud Observability. And you'll be able to go and take a look at it there. And again, it's going to, most of it's going to look and feel like what you're used to. There will be some pages that are improved, some, new device support like the Meraki, there'll be data in there for that. There's a new dashboard for NCM, right? So if you are tired of the NCM dashboard, there's a new one based on modern dashboards that's included. You can it's a switch. You just turn it on. So that's a great feature. And again, that's available in HCO today. That'll come for modules in Q3.
Yeah, and for those that have followed me on Thwack for a while or have spoke to me at a user group conference, they know my love for modern dashboards. I think, modern dashboards really brought Orion from almost like a plain text style to this new, wonderful, colorful UI. And again, Thwack is a wonderful place that, if you're looking for dashboards, for these more modern dashboards, we have a content exchange where users like myself and some and not just SolarWinds employees, but just average users have shared their dashboards that you can just download for free. And it's easy as following the instructions on how to import it into your environment using Swickle, and you got that dashboard. There's no, how do I do this? There's no like going to the whiteboard or anything like that. So I think we have time for one last question, Brian, before we go ahead and finish our journey for today. And I'm going to read this verbatim because I want to make sure I have it right.
Right.
So the question is, and I'm quoting exactly, when it comes to upgrades with Observability Platform, would they only be an upgrade for any local components with the SaaS head end staying online, or do we still need to upgrade Observability Cloud Platform itself?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're asking there. For the on-prem, the hybrid cloud observability and the SolarWinds platform, the upgrades will be very similar to what you've done in the past. For the cloud products, the SaaS products, I mean, there may be, I'm not sure exactly what they're answering, but or what they're asking, but to my knowledge, any components that need to be installed on site can be upgraded remotely. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding for the SaaS products.
Yeah, with that being said, sadly, this brings our time together on this journey to a close. I'm sad. I love talking this stuff. I love hearing from our community. No, this is what I love. And again, for those that are not part of it, join Thwack and literally you can post your question and Brian will respond. It's not somebody else. It'll be Brian. It'll be these product managers. I will respond, or our MVPs. These subject matter experts will respond to your questions. So on behalf of myself, Brian, the entire team at SolarWinds, the video crew that brought this together, Kristen, who is my counterpart on the marketing team that kind of helped moderate the forums and kind of keep me in line. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us today. This was recorded and will be available to everyone on Thwack in a short amount of time. I'm not going to hold the video team to a timetable on that, but it will be made available. So if there's a part of today's conversation you would like to go back and rewatch, or if you want to show this to somebody else within your organization, simply log in to thwack.com. You can go to the events, and then you'll see the Thwack Livecast archive, and this will be available there. Be sure, if you haven't yet, to sign up for the next part of this discussion, where they're going to get a little more deeper. You're going to notice if you attend all three sessions, we're getting a little deeper. Today was kind of a 30,000 foot view, right? We're looking at it from high up. What does this really mean? And now we're going to get down deeper into it. So if you haven't already, please sign up for part 2 and part 3 of this wonderful journey we're going on. And again, thanks for joining us today. And feel free to continue discussion on Thwack with our over 180,000 members. Obviously, if you have the question, someone else has the question. And my mom always told me there's no stupid question. It's just no question asked. So feel free, come to Thwack, bring your question. It doesn't matter if it's your first day or not. Also, for those who attended, there will be a survey sent out, and I believe there's thwack points involved, which means a possible t-shirt or a backpack or something. Please, 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 please take the time. It's a very short survey. I believe it's under 5 minutes. And let us know how you felt about today's session. If I was a terrible host, please let me know. But again, thank you all for attending today. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. Off camera, Eric, Kristen, the team, thank you guys so much for coming together. And to our community, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy, hectic days to join us here on SolarWinds. Thank you.
Thank you.